The Avengers debuted in 1963 in the self-titled The Avengers #1. To celebrate the anniversary, Hasbro has released a collection of figures depicting numerous Avengers over the 60 years. But with the current state of Marvel Legends in 2023, are these figures worthy of celebrating the milestone and costing a combined price of over $600? Are they worth the price of entry? I'm MVargo97, so let's get into this. Pending any new announcements at PulseCon 2023, there are currently 11 items that fall into this collection. There are 3 single-packed figures, Mark I Iron Man, the Walmart-exclusive Bucky Barnes Captain America, and the Target-exclusive Black Widow. We then have a deluxe set containing Hawkeye and his Sky Cycle. We then have numerous 2-packs starting with Captain Marvel and Doctor Doom, Skrull Queen and the Super Skrull, the Amazon-exclusive Cersei and Black Knight, Thor and the Destroyer, and Bruce Banner and Hulk. We then have the 12-inch Super Adaptoid, and finally we have the Amazon-exclusive West Coast Avengers set, including the Silver Centurion, Hank Pym, Mockingbird, Tigra, and Spider-Woman. Starting off with the individual figures, we'll take a look at the Mark I Iron Man. This is a really nice figure despite the awfully marble plastic that Hasbro likes to use. It's a very faithful adaptation of what he looked like in the comics, and it's an all-new sculpt to boot. Despite this, I still don't think he's worth the $27.99 price increase that Hasbro is charging. The pricing scheme has gotten extremely out of hand as of late, and even at $24.99, I think this would be a stretch. That aside, I do think this is a great figure to pick up if you're looking for a good Mark I Iron Man. The Bucky cap is a much-needed improvement over the infamous last release. He uses the brand-new Vulcan body, and I think this works pretty well, but anything would have been an improvement over the old Bucky cap body. Really enjoy the look of this figure, and he matches his comic counterpart quite well. He has this pretty lame gun that doesn't resemble anything that Hasbro likes to throw out, but that can be swapped out pretty easily with something from Valaverse. I do think it was an odd choice to have a Bucky Barnes cap versus Steve Rogers, but I still think this is one of the best characters in the collection and definitely a must pick up. Now we've got Black Widow. Well, a slightly easier pill to swallow at $27.99 compared to the Iron Man, just based on the amount of accessories she has included. I still think that's way too much for a standard figure. The price aside, the figure is excellent. The new female body is quite an improvement over what we've been seeing over and over for Legends. She's got numerous heads to match her different appearances in the comics. The different gauntlet pieces are also nice. The guns, I could take or leave, as well as the blast effects. But overall, a really solid figure and a great pickup for Legends. Next up, we have Hawkeye and the Sky Cycle. I could honestly care less for the Sky Cycle and really just wanted the classic comic-style Hawkeye. But unfortunately, you're paying for both, so the Sky Cycle commands the same $25 price to make the overall 2-pack $50. I do really like the Hawkeye, though. Looks just like his classic counterpart, and this is one I've been waiting for a long time. If you want the Sky Cycle, that's great, but the Hawkeye is really the show stealer here. If it was me, I would see if you could find the figure by himself secondhand, or wait for this to go on sale to pick it up. But if you really want that Hawkeye, I would go ahead and bite the bullet. Getting into the 2-packs, we'll start out with Monica Rambeau and Doctor Doom. Captain Marvel's a pretty standard female Legends figure, but it is nice to get this version of the character. It's almost one-for-one how she appears on the pages. The wings do hinder articulation quite a bit, which is disappointing and can be hard to get her in certain poses. Doctor Doom figure is not good. The plastic used just looks bad, plain and simple. He doesn't have a cape, and before anyone says the Secret Wars version of the character doesn't have one, in my opinion, it's always been the weaker design of the character. However, the unmasked head sculpt does look phenomenal. I would say if you're able to find just the head sculpt for a good price, to just pick that up rather than the figure. The 2-pack overall is completely skippable in my mind, unless you really want this version of Captain Marvel. But even then, you could probably find her cheaper by herself on the secondary market, and there's much better Doctor Dooms out there. Next up, we've got the 2-pack of the Skrull Queen and the Super Skrull. The Skrull Queen can be doubled as a Spider-Woman, and that's how I plan on displaying mine, since I missed out on the previous version. It's basically the same version of the previous figure with an updated torso. I think it does a fairly good job of looking like the comic counterparts in both Spider-Woman and Skrull Queen form. I think the Skrull Queen head does look good, but there's something a little bit off about it. And the hand lightning effects that they gave her just don't look good. The Super Skrull figure's alright. He uses some parts of the Build-A-Figure, but has a new cape, Iron Man hand and reactor, and features some of the Black Bolt motif. He still has the same stretchy hand from earlier. It does look like the reference pack they used, but I never cared much for the scrolls. I'd say you could totally skip this 2-pack. There's really nothing new to make this a must-buy. It's also $54.99 for 2 completely reused figures. So maybe if you can find this on sale, I would maybe recommend picking it up, but not as it currently is. Now we have the Amazon exclusive Cersei and Black Knight. There's not much new in this 2-pack other than Cersei's head and Black Knight's sword, which is being reused in that Comic-Con Deadpool 2-pack. It's a good combination of characters, and they match their source material pretty well. Black Knight's legs have the same issues as some of the previous releases, with those chainmail-style legs seeming like they might break pretty easy. Cersei's on that old problematic female body we've seen numerous times before, and it can be hard to get her to stand. I'd say you could probably pass on this one too, unless you really need these versions of the characters. It's alright, that's all about it I can say. It's an odd choice to me, having these 2 characters represent the 60th anniversary when there's numerous characters who seem to have been excluded. This 2-pack's only $49.99, so you're paying the standard $24.99 per figure. So I'd really say it's up to individual preference. The Thor and Destroyer pack is next. The Thor body is the same as the 80th body that we saw, but they made the baffling decision to just paint over the suit on the sides as a flesh color rather than retool the torso. It looks awful, it's hard not to notice. The 2 head sculpts are nice, however, and the one looks pretty close to the Eric Masterson version, which is probably how I'll keep mine displayed. I do really like the Destroyer figure, though. He's got a lot of weight to him, and he scales well next to Thor and the other Legends characters. I really like all the spike detailing throughout. Unfortunately, he does use that same marbly plastic, which does hurt the figure depending on how you look at him. For $59.99, I'd say this is a solid 2-pack, maybe a bit overpriced, but what isn't at this point? I'd recommend this one if you're interested, or maybe if you missed out on that 80th Thor. The last 2-pack we have is the Bruce Banner Grey Hulk one. I could be mistaken, but I believe this is the first comic-style banner we've received from Hasbro. This 2-pack mimics the first appearance of the characters. The colors don't line up exactly with what the comic shows, but the design does. The Banner figure is rather uninteresting, and the glasses look too large to me. He also uses a lot of old parts, but you're not going to be posing around this guy much anyways. The Grey Hulk figure is nice. I really like the head sculpts. The gray color also looks really good on this release. It comes with that same torn shirt we've seen as well as the pipe. It's basically the same Hulk body we've seen the past couple times, but it's a pretty good Hulk body. It's a decent 2-pack, but I'm sure people will pick up, if at least not to get the comic version of Banner. I also think the Grey Hulk is better than the 80th release, and Hulks usually come in more expensive, so I don't think $59.99 is too much for this one. Alright, now we've got Super Adaptoid. This figure sucks, and I would not recommend getting him. Figure's not very accurate, missing both the wings and quiver, which are even shown in the artwork on the side of the box. He doesn't even have the right shield, just reusing the one from the 12-inch cap, which most of this figure is based on. The new gauntlets make it very hard to even get the shield straps on to begin with. And then we get to the price. This figure retails for $69.99. That is absurd to me. I don't even have words. It just baffles me that they would charge this. He's worth maybe $40, $50 tops. With everything he's missing and the absolutely ludicrous price, nobody should get this guy. I hate myself for buying him. Hasbro should be ashamed of this release. If he at least came with the wings and the bone quiver, maybe I could excuse the price. But as of right now, I hope this figure haunts them and they're stuck with large quantities for years to come. Lastly, we'll take a look at the West Coast Avengers 5-pack. Minus the Silver Centurion, who's supposed to be silver, they all match their comic counterparts quite nicely. It's nice to get Tigra in the right color versus the previous Cheeto color release. Despite the miscolor of the Silver Centurion, I actually don't mind the white. I think the colors look good together, and sometimes the artwork can make it look to be white. The Hank Pym figure is rather plain, but there's not a whole lot you could do with him. Spider-Woman's fine. I don't have a whole lot to say about her. She's basically the same Spider-Woman we've seen multiple times. Tiger's also the same. The same retro-carded figure we've gotten, just in a different color. Finally, the main reason people would want to get this set is for Mockingbird. She's a pretty good figure. She's got some trouble standing up with these boots, but with enough perseverance, it can work. There's not a whole lot new with this figure, but it's good enough. With this 5-pack, you could finally complete your West Coast Avengers team, but it is a shame that the main figures that everyone would want is behind a $125 paywall. I didn't have any of the characters before, so it was worth it to me, but I'm sure for most, it would probably be smart just to buy the individual characters they need off the secondary market. Alright, so now that I've taken a look at everything, what's my conclusion? There's good and bad, as with all things Hasbro. Some of the figures are really nice and ones that fans have been waiting for. On the other hand, there's a lot of lazy repaints that they just want too much money for. It's hard for me to tell you what figures you need and what you don't, but in my opinion, there's a lot you can skip out on. But there's a couple figures I would say you should probably have, like that Black Widow and Captain America. The character choices are hit and miss for me as well. I feel like there were some pretty heavy hitters let out of this celebration and some oddball inclusions. Let me know what you think of this collection down below. Which ones did you pick up and which did you pass on? As always, thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.